Lord of Hatred does something almost impossible. It makes Diablo IV feel exciting again. The campaign is sharper, Skovos is memorable, the two new classes are genuinely different, and the endgame finally has a clear direction. But the expansion also creates an awkward question. Did Blizzard sell a great new chapter, or did it charge loyal players for the moment Diablo IV finally became the game they expected? The answer depends on which version of Lord of Hatred we are talking about. There is the paid expansion, with its campaign, region, classes, and new activities. Then there is the permanent update for every Diablo IV player, which rebuilds progression, itemization, skill trees, and the endgame. Those two halves arrive together, but they are not the same product. Separating them changes the entire value of this expansion. The paid side is substantial. Lord of Hatred continues the story in Skovos, gives Mephisto a much stronger presence, and adds an island region that looks completely different from the muddy roads and ruined villages of the base game. Bright coastlines and ancient temples create contrast, while the corruption beneath them keeps the world recognizably Diablo. The campaign is also more focused. Instead of treating Mephisto as a distant threat, it builds the story around temptation. He does not simply want to destroy Sanctuary. He wants to convince people that his version of salvation is the only one left. That makes the conflict personal, and it gives the expansion a better villain than another oversized demon waiting at the end of a dungeon. The package also includes war plans, echoing hatred, the Horadric Cube, the Talisman, fishing, and extra character and stash space. There is enough here to call Lord of Hatred a real expansion, not a seasonal update wearing a price tag. But many of the changes that make it feel better are free. The higher level cap, expanded skill trees, revised itemization, loot filter, map overlay, pathfinding, pit overhaul, and additional torment tiers are part of the permanent update. That distinction matters. The expansion adds excellent content, but the foundation beneath it is being repaired for everyone. The Paladin is the easiest argument in Lord of Hatred's favor. It delivers the fantasy immediately. Heavy armor, holy light, shields, and attacks that make every impact feel decisive. You do not have to wait for a perfect legendary combination before the class begins to make sense. Its identity is clear from the first hour, and that clarity is exactly what Diablo IV often lacked at launch. The Warlock is more interesting and less comfortable. Curses, summons, blood magic, and demonic transformations create a class that does not feel like a recycled necromancer. Its best moments come from controlling a fight, marking enemies, then turning their weakness into a chain reaction. At launch, however, that complexity did not always produce equal power. The Paladin arrived polished and obvious. The Warlock arrived distinctive, but needed more tuning before its strongest ideas could compete. That imbalance is revealing. Lord of Hatred is not valuable because both classes are perfectly balanced. It is valuable because both classes begin with a strong fantasy and give players multiple ways to express it. Diablo works when a build becomes a personality, not when it becomes a spreadsheet copied from the internet. For a newcomer, the price is surprisingly easy to defend. The standard edition of Lord of Hatred includes Vessel of Hatred, so a new player gets both expansions in one purchase. Add the free systems overhaul, and this is the cleanest entry point Diablo IV has ever offered. For an existing Vessel of Hatred owner, the same offer feels very different. There is no cheaper upgrade that removes content already owned. The price remains $39.99, even though part of the bundle is redundant. Blizzard is not locking the loot filter or the rebuilt progression behind the expansion, and that deserves to be stated clearly. The essential fixes are free. The problem is that the most loyal customers receive the weakest version of the deal. That is the real controversy. Lord of Hatred does not sell the repair itself. It sells a strong adventure on top of a repair that took years to arrive, then gives its best bundle value to the people who waited. New players are rewarded for entering late. Returning players get a persuasive reason to come back. The audience that paid at launch and bought Vessel of Hatred gets no recognition beyond another full-price purchase. So did Lord of Hatred save Diablo IV? Creatively, yes, Skovos gives the world a fresh identity. The campaign makes Mephisto dangerous without reducing him to a final boss. The Paladin is immediately satisfying. The Warlock adds a genuinely new rhythm, and war plans make the endgame feel like a journey instead of a menu of chores. But it did not save Diablo IV alone. The free update does just as much work. Better loot, clearer progression, expanded builds, and a more readable endgame are the reasons the new content can breathe. Without those changes, Lord of Hatred would be another strong campaign attached to a weak long-term loop. The verdict is not that Blizzard sold a fix. The verdict is more uncomfortable. Blizzard finally fixed the foundation, then priced the celebration in a way that favors new customers over the players who finance the journey. Lord of Hatred is worth playing. It may even be Diablo IV at its best. But whether it is worth buying depends less on how much you love Diablo, and more on how much of Diablo IV you already paid for.